Folks, this is Book Talk with Corbin. My name is, I'm your host. Guys, as always, go to my website, booktalkwithcorbin.com. Got a lot of great interviews up there. A former Marxist from Cuba. I just posted her interview. Also, Judith Yates, a criminologist. She's got some great things to say about how to keep your family safe. And if a family member comes up missing, what are some of the things you need to do? I also got Dr. Steve Turley up there from Turley Talks. He's always makes some great comments about woke politics and corporations, etc. Today we have Addia Wuchner. She's the executive director of the Kentucky Right to Life. We just had one interview with her where she just talks about the Kentucky Right to Life. But today I want her, at this moment, to focus on Yes for Life. It's some sort of coalition movement. And this is new to me. I know it's new to most of you guys listening to me, my loyal listeners. So, sis, could you talk to us about what is Yes for Life?
Yes, Brother Corbin, and thank you so much for allowing me to speak about Yes for Life. Yes for Life began, it's about a constitutional amendment that's going to be up for the ballot in 2022. But it really began, as all things began, with the General Assembly. Representative Joe Fisher was he sponsored it for many years. And, it's all about timing. Sometimes timing has to be right. And so this year, it was House Bill 91. And it is a very simple, proposes a constitutional amendment that says very simple in less than 30 words. To protect human life, nothing in this Constitution shall be construed to secure or protect the right to abortion or require the funding of abortion. Wow. Basic word. So that then passed. Now it's up to the people, is going to allow the people to actually, their voice was heard in their legislature, it was passed. And so it places it now on the ballot before the people of the Commonwealth when the next election rolls about in November of 22. And we're not a referendum state. Other states, California, Ohio, they're used to having a lot of referendums. We're not. We've had just very few times that we've had constitutional amendments. We had Marcy's Law a couple years ago. So it's going to, besides the time that you vote for your favorite candidate or, the person that you want to put into office, and then you come down a little bit, your House member, your senator, and there may be some judicial candidates on it, and they're going to have to go down and read a little further and do something they don't do very often, and that's vote for a constitutional amendment. So we call it Yes for Life. It will get a number, but as we came together, we said, what is it? What does this really say? So we started calling it the Yes for Life, pro-life constitutional amendment. What will happen is the Secretary of State, sometime after the first of the year, will give it a number. So it'll be amendment number 2, probably. And then we'll transfer from Yes for Life to Yes for Life amendment number 2. We can't say that yet because it's not been affirmed. We just know that it'll be on the ballot. But our Kentucky General Assembly is giving the people the right, their voice to be heard, to embed into the Kentucky's Constitution. So what happened in 73, the interpretation of the Supreme Court and their wisdom at the time and their knowledge at the time made a determination which overrode every law on the books in every state. For that, at that time, many of the states had laws prohibiting abortion or some type of abortion. But with that Supreme Court decision, and we've been in that battle for years, it hasn't gone away. I mean, it's one of the issues that has stayed with this nation for almost 50 years. So we don't know what we heard about all the cases that are coming up right now. We don't know what this court will do. A reporter said, well, do you think it's because there's just more conservatives on the court? I said, what I think there is we have more knowledge of human development. We have the wisdom of the court, and you have balance in those 9 justices. So the 9 justices are starting to be willing to take up these life issue pieces of legislation. Whether they will return the issue to the states, we don't know. But Kentucky has to show that if that comes back our state direction, there's nothing in our Constitution that could be construed in your way, that it is the laws that are passed by the duly elected representatives of the people. And that's what Yes for Life is. Well, so what happened with that? How did we get this alliance? It's really exciting times that we're in. Kentucky Right to Life always has a press day, and I was new to the organization. I just came on the anniversary of Roe. I left the General Assembly in 2018. I had some health problems, and sometimes if God calls you to do something, He's going to give you the strength to be able to serve in that capacity. So when we were doing the first press conference, I looked at my good friends from Angela Mentor, Sisters for Life.
Yes.
My good friend Ken Ostrander with Family Foundation. And the first one we did, I said, I want you to let's stand together. It was about the bills last session, and the Attorney General was there, and there we were out in the cold with our masks on. It was a cold day in January. And I remember Ken Ostrander, family, he said, but this is I said, no, it's not. It's not any one issue. It's our issue together. Let's stand united. So that's how it really began. It was really, it was God's doing, and just put on my heart that we all should stand together. Well, then as this issue came forward, and they had already talked a previous session, the Catholic Conference and different ones. And so for the first time, and we knew that they were supportive, I reached out to a man I didn't know, and that was Todd Gray. Todd Gray is with the Kentucky Baptist Convention. And I said, would you join us? And so what happened is they had already formed loosely, they wanted to support these different groups the previous session. But instead of it being one organization doing the press conferences and speaking, we spoke in one voice. We went to leadership together to ask them to support this bill. So then we had the Catholic Conference met, representing the majority of Catholic churches in that body. We had, and the bishops. We then had the Kentucky Baptist Convention and that body of churches and faithful. The Family Foundation, Sisters for Life, Angela Mentor, my dear friend, and then oh my goodness, it'll come to me. We have one more group. I'm sorry, mine just kind of chased away here for a second. We brought together then another group. I'm sorry, the Commonwealth Policy Center, Richard Nelson's group. And what I said is, we all may have other different issues that we are working on. Some may have gambling, some may have schools, some may have bathroom issues. But on this issue, let's stay united. And that's what we did. We worked very hard after the bill passed. We met, and we formed an alliance, the foundational members of the alliance. But the alliance just isn't us. I was speaking to evangelicals the other day. I was speaking to a group of Black pastors in their group. So we keep bringing people in. So at the fair this year, we launched the Yes for Life Alliance, Yes for Life Kentucky. And so that alliance is building the groundswell to support this constitutional amendment. We know that the other side, the opposition, we will be outspent. As we formed the alliance, we know it's going to take money. They had a similar constitutional amendment in Louisiana. I talked to my brothers there and sisters there, and it cost them over $1 million. Kansas said it's going to cost them $2 million. You have to marketing, advertisement, billboard sign, commercials. It's about educating people to come out and why. Yes. So we made that commitment. We made a commitment that we will raise the $1.2 million for the Yes for Life Alliance. So we launched it at the fair this year with Commissioner Ryan Quarles, since the fair is his thing. So Commissioner was there. We launched the alliance, and we've been going forward since then. We're asking other people to join us, to ask you to join the Yes for Life Alliance and go online and join us. We're working very hard to raise the money that we'll need. We've hired even a marketing and campaign organization, because really this is like having one candidate. Together, we all, and with our pro-life family and community around the Commonwealth, we acknowledge we have one candidate right now that we're supporting, and we've got to raise campaign funds, and that is this constitutional amendment. Wow. We know that we will be outspent. We know that Planned Parenthood, I learned a lesson from them. Planned Parenthood of Kentucky united with Planned Parenthood of Indiana a few years back. Then some months back, almost a year now, they united with Planned Parenthood of Hawaii and Alaska and the Western states. I think that's code for California. And I've got the articles when they talked about having $94 million to impact communities and states like ours that are moving in that more conservative direction. So we know we're up again, we'll be outspent, we'll raise the money, but we have our plan. And as I often say, God's got all the money, and we, if we stay faithful to the mission that he's entrusted to us in this Yes for Life Alliance, that's the work that's before us.
Sis, let me ask you this. You have to forgive me for asking this question. I'm a political science major. Where do they get their money? $94 million is not a drop in the bucket. Where do they get their money?
Well, if you ever go into the book on philanthropy and donors, it's amazing. Probably every product you can't get away from. You've got products in your home, things that I buy. It's like you would sort of live naked and without pots and pans and without anything in your home and maybe gas in your car. Mm-hmm. Because so many give to Planned Parenthood, and many give. Now there is a strong support for abortion, but many give because they think they're supporting the women's health side. But we know that the abortion is a big industry in this country and around the world. And that there's just this disregard and devaluation of human life, mm-hmm. of the essence of when we have a difference. And we talked earlier about when life begins. That's always why I always say, even if we ban every abortion and make sure mothers have the support they need and the choice they need, there are choices, a choice to keep your child or to place for adoption. I often say with adoption, God hears the voice of two women crying out. The mother who's saying, I want a child so much, I will accept the child and love this child that is not born of me, of my essence. And the other mother that says, I can't have a child. I don't want a child. This isn't the right time for me, whatever reason. And at that exquisite moment, he hears both women crying out in their situation. And that's what adoption is, a loving option rather than abortion and taking the life and killing a child.
Yes.
And there's so many wonderful supportive services, pregnancy care centers and women's centers that are just waiting. And just, I always love to hear the stories about the moms that changed their mind. They heard a counselor, maybe Angela Mentor, Sisters for Life, mm-hmm. Donna Deering, on the corner there that have been there week after week. And they heard that message and they changed their mind and had a change of heart, and hear the stories when they kept their child. It's just amazing.
Yes. And speaking of that, when Angela Mentor was at a particular church downtown, actually is located in Old Louisville, she would have dinners, fundraising dinners, and I went to one of them. And I was really moved by the mother and the father came forward. They said they were going to the abortion clinic. And like you said, they heard Angela Mentor. They developed a relationship with her. And then, boom, they showed us the baby. And it was really moving because, it's like if they hadn't heard that voice, if they hadn't listened to that voice, if they hadn't responded to that voice, we wouldn't have seen that pretty little baby.
And if we can't advocate and educate and reach out, that's where we change hearts and minds and save lives.
Yes, absolutely. Sis, I can't agree with you more. I really can't. I had a former chess student of mine, and come find out her mother at one time had wanted to abort her. And I didn't find out by accident. And come find out my church played a key role in convincing that mother not to do that. If they hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had my chess student, who to this day keeps in touch with me.
It's amazing because there was such a cultural shift that, we can talk about so much. I love your show and what you're doing to reform and educate the culture and society.
Yes.
But, there was this shift, and people ask me how long you've been pro-life. And I said, I didn't think about it as a young person. But I remember one time hearing the word abortion, I'm trying to listen, like it was a whisper. And it was about a dentist that was maybe performing them in their office, and someone knew him in Louisville. And then, of course, the case in Sarah Weddington, and there was Roe versus Wade and Doe versus Bolton, 2 cases heard on the same day, Texas and Georgia. And that piece is history. But just that year, that fall, I'm now in college. I'll never forget it. We all make our plans. I was married young because we're going to go to college. We're going to do this together, right? We're going to go to medical school. We're going to change the world together. And what usually happens is we found out by 74, we were expecting our first child. And I remember the first thing somebody said to me was, what are you going to do that's going to kind of disrupt your plans? And it was the first time that anyone had ever said, I was in a university setting, pointed out that a child was a disruption. Now, we now have, our daughter's married, we have grandchildren, but I remember that, and recently it struck me. And so that was the beginning of seeing children as something that could ruin your lives or change your lives. And then there were 5 years before we had our second child. But when I got pregnant, the second child and the third, we have 2 boys, were close together. And I remember my neighbor saying, why would you do that? You've perfect life. You've got a daughter and a son. Why would you mess that up? And I thought, so you would have me reject just because the sheer numbers don't. So it's a cultural thought that a child becomes an inconvenience. They become in a way of accomplishing not what you want to do, not they placed on that journey to live our lives with us. And so our culture has been radically deformed in their thinking. And I think a lot of it goes back, and that would be another conversation, to the impact of what I call not feminism, but radical feminism. Radical feminism and the impact on our culture, and how it's impacted. It's sowed chaos and violence between the mother and the child.
Do you think radical feminism has had a negative impact on our understanding or appreciation for fathers and fatherhood?
Most definitely. I mean, it's pitted it pitted motherhood against where our lives were going. It pitted, I was to say that abortion, it pits children and mothers against children. It's sown violence and the discord, in the very heart of intimate human relationships. It's degraded the father's role increasingly, and it's saw a child not as a gift, but as portrayed something as a competitor or an intrusion or an inconvenience in life. And it's, I teach this piece on how God made us, what I'm saying, that we're made radically different, but it took away from, we are made different. You can't change the essence of who we are, but we were made to be complementary one another, not competitors. And that erosion and that delusion that has impacted our society and our culture is so prevalent today. I mean, it's casted fathers so far. You've probably heard the service they do in the prisons. When it's Mother's Day, they put out cards and everybody takes a card for the moms. When it's Father's Day, the card is full of cards because of those broken fatherhood relationships. But so much more than that. I was doing a absence education 20 years ago in an inner city school, and I was there late, and a young man followed me out to the car, and he said to me, young black football player, and he goes, hey lady. I said, yes. He goes, is what you said true? And I said, well, what part did I say? He goes, the part that you told me I was a human walking petri dish. And I said, well, we were talking about disease and sex before marriage and unprotected sex and things that were going on. I said, yes. And he said, we need, and it struck me because he said, we need people like you, but we also need people like me. And I said, what do you mean? He said, and what he says, when I go down the street in my neighborhood, I hear young women say, there goes my baby's daddy, and there goes my other baby's daddy. And he said, what he was telling me is, I need mentoring. I need other men who look like me to come in and help my community. And it's always stayed with me. He recognized that something that's over 20 years ago was happening in his community. And so that's why I applaud programs that reach, we can talk, but we need to be in our communities. I'm a nurse. That's what I do. My heart is with people. It's at the bedside or at the neighborhood where people are, reaching people where they are. That's what Jesus did. He went out 2 by 2 into the communities and touched people's lives.
Yeah. Folks, this is Book Talk with Corbin. I'm your host. We have with us Addia Wuchner. She's the Executive Director of Kentucky Right to Life, and she's also part of the Yes for Life movement. Sis, where's the website for Yes for Life? Give me that address.
Oh, yesforlifeky.com. Just
Now,
YES for FOR life, KY.com, sir.
Okay. YES for the number 4 life?
No, just for FOR. So
FOR. Okay.
YES FOR LIFEKY.com.
Okay. FOR KY. And I want my listeners, please go check that. Please go check that out. I'm so glad that she mentioned about Sister Angela Minter, who had played over the years, has played a key role in bringing this issue to the forefront with me. Really keeping it in front of my face. And it's her, and then of course the other lady who's helped me do that has been my daughter Sarah. I'll never forget when we were, I guess these little medical appointments you go to with the doctor, and the doctor took a picture of Sarah in her belly, in her mother's belly. And she said, look, she's sucking her thumb. And she was slowly bringing her thumb into her mouth. I tell Sarah that story all the time because I say, baby, I've never seen you suck your thumb again. After that, I never saw her do it again. It was so.
But isn't that wonderful, that picture inside where you could see? There's a beautiful video out now. It's called Baby Olivia. People can Google it, and they can see that life form, and they just it's so well done. And I tell you, people, Google Baby Olivia. She just that picture is live.
Absolutely. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to go do it. Baby Olivia.
Baby Olivia. I love Baby Olivia.
So, Sarah's the other reason why I like abortion. Dude, you kidding me? There's no way. There's just no way.
I know you can't see behind me, but I have some pictures. And well, here we go. One of them was our first grandchild. And this was his little, I don't know how to do this somewhere. But this was his first picture. And it said, see you soon, Mimi.
Right.
And it was so sweet. And he's now 20 years old. So. Oh,
man. Yeah, they talk about inconvenience. I mean, unfortunately, I divorced Sarah's mother divorced me, and so I was always picking her up. And then one day, Sarah said, Daddy, you always want to see me. And I looked at her and said, baby, you're my gift. I can't imagine going through life and not seeing you all the time. To me, that's why you have to. I can't understand people who don't want to see their children.
Gift. You said that word gift.
Yeah.
These children are gifts, and they're entrusted to a mama and a father. And so many times the father is sort of cast aside. I hate to be graphic, as a sperm donor, and just sort of set over here outside their life. And I think that's why maybe we'll talk someday about why there's so many blanks on the birth certificates where the father's name would be.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely need to do that. Sis, I need to stop now. I got another interview I got to go into. We'd be up here for hours, girl.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes.
I will ask for prayers. Angela and I mentor, and I will be praying on the steps of the Supreme Court on Tuesday, and our Attorney General will be there at the U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday the 12th. So just pray for Attorney General Cameron and his team.
We'll definitely do that.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, sis. Bye-bye.
Thanks.